It does feel like somebody should lose their job. I hate to say that. It just does feel like we've gotten to that point.
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals, though, the last year or so, I feel like they're kind of paralyzed in the sense of they're afraid to make any type of decision. I do think that the bad trades in recent years, I think it has caused them to hold on to guys too long. They don't want to have another Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen type situation, and it seems like they're afraid to do anything. Now, whether that's trading away players, making a change in staff, it just seems like we keep watching over and over and over, and there are no changes. And again, I just get back to we crushed Mike Matheny for winning records. We crushed him when they were above 500 for bad base running, sloppy defense, not playing the Cardinal way. This team is now 15 games below 500. They're losing in comical fashion. I mean, it's comical.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's comical. It hurts. It's hurtful.
Well,
Joe laughed. Yeah, Joe laughed. It is. You do shake your head because you know it's coming, like we've always talked about. Like you have a feeling it's going to come, and it does.
Matheny was actually a game above 500 when he got fired.
Right.
The day he got fired.
Yeah. I mean, Schulte, too. Dang. Well, Arenado said it has nothing to do with Oli Marmol. It's always on the players, and I do agree with that, too. There's a lot that the players need to be better. I mean, wait,
where are you? Because you were like, right on when he's saying fire people, and then you're like, right on to Arenado. Which side are you on?
Who said right on? Who said fire people?
Well, you're kind of like when guys come on and rip and say people have to be fired, you're like, right on.
Well, yeah, they do.
You think Oli should be fired?
Yeah.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I just want to get to there.
I do.
I
think Oli should be fired.
Okay.
I think he should be fired probably 3 days ago.
And by the way, if Oli got fired, I don't think that should surprise anyone. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Oli got fired today, which I don't think is going to happen actually, it wouldn't surprise me, and I would say, okay, well, they're 15 games below 500. Why is Oli so special? I'm not saying he's the problem. The problem, I think who puts the roster together is the bigger problem, and I also blame the players. But you're not going to fire yourself, and the players have long-term contracts and make millions and millions of dollars. How else do you enact change on this team?
I think that's a fair point, and I'm not disputing it. I don't think Oli's the problem, but when the team is playing the way it is, generally speaking, and also there's bad defense and bad base running in there, I get it. Usually, sometimes it's a sacrificial lamb. They fire a hitting coach who had nothing to do with it. Could be a manager, but I get it. Like, you want to change something sometimes for change's sake because what you're doing every day isn't working. I get it. Although I don't think they will fire Oli, and I wouldn't put the blame on him, but I get it.
Okay, I don't think they'll fire him either. But look what happened with the Phillies last year. The Phillies were not this bad. They fire their manager, and they go to the World Series. So to act like that can't happen mid-season, that does happen. It's happened before.
Yeah. We shall
why
see.
even have if the manager doesn't matter, then why even have one? I mean, the manager gets no blame. I mean, everybody gets blamed, but why does the manager not get blamed?
Oh, everyone gets blamed in this scenario. So Arenado basically, Goldie said it.
Yeah.
Waino said, I'm not surprised because when you have camera or reporter with a pad and a recorder, and they say, "Hey, do you think Oli should be fired?" Of course, they're going to say no.
Unless you're me on
but I know, but I've talked to them. They honestly, Arenado has away from the cameras and everything. He's mad at the team.
Yeah,
he's not mad at
himself too.
He's not mad at Mo, and he's not mad at Oli. He's like, there's too many guys not putting out. And he goes, and I'm on the list. I'm not doing it. Like, Arenado's one of those guys, he calls himself out, too.
It's like a different guy each game. You know, the Walker play, although he's been pretty solid to plate. It's always something.
I'm telling you,
always
it's
something.
like every player has an anvil over their head on a thin string, and they're just waiting for that thing to drop on their head.
The Matheny firing was a prisoner of the moment firing. I think it had more to do with politics and the on-field production. Schilt was fired because he said he won't be a yes man. Joe's call was correct. This is almost entirely on Mo Ron. He has his yes man in the coaching seat, Joe Boo.
Well, Joe Boo, just so you know, Schilt wasn't fired because of that. It's not true. There are other issues with Mike Schilt.
Like what?
The way he interacted with his staff and other people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into it. I didn't even know about it. But, yeah, there were other things. And I like Schilt. I was shocked. The day they had the news conference, I thought they were extending him. I heard nothing.
Right. You're right.
I heard nothing about it.
Yeah.
And I like him. I always liked him, even when he wasn't the manager. And then all of a sudden he's gone. And then slowly little people are starting to tell me. At first it was like, yeah, there was some stuff, and no one would say anything. But it wasn't just because he told Mo, get out, I'm not doing it. It's not the reason.
I understand that. Would you rather have a guy who's kind of mean and wins games, or a really nice guy who's 15 games below 500?
Or a guy who's mean and loses games, who's mean to the umpires.
I don't know what that means, but
Who's that?
What'd you
I don't
say?
know what that
Ollie
means.
Marmol.
Mostly the
just telling-
CB Buckner.
See, I'm not defending anyone here. I'm just saying that's not true what you said about Schilt. That wasn't the reason.
No, I know.
And you can say it's not, because we've had this argument before. I'm just you can believe what you want. I'm telling you that's not the reason.
Oh, I wasn't disagreeing with that. I've heard those exact same things. My point is, Matheny, by the way, had a nice run of winning and advancing far in the postseason, even though he was handed a great roster. But then it fell off for 2.5 years. They allowed Mike Matheny for those 2 years. They didn't make the playoffs, and then they fire him at the All-Star break when he's right there above 500. Mike Schilt did turn around the culture and the George Kissel Cardinal way. You wanted more success in the playoffs. I think we all agree with that. But we complain nonstop about Matheny with the bullpen and sloppy baseball and this and that, and it was never even close to as bad as it is right now.
It's bad now, man.
It's as bad as it's been in, 20, 25 years?
And Matheny, just so you know, there's logistics that they use and metrics that they use to measure the manager. And the metrics people never liked the way Matheny managed the Cardinals. They have a percentage of wins they could have gotten if it were done a different way. That's not meaning that they come and second guess it, but they chart it. And whatever it is this year, all the metrics are bad. It's not just on the manager. At that point, there was more weight on Matheny because of the roster he had. And I'm not defending or killing anyone. I'm just trying to lay out the facts as I know them in relation to this discussion we're having for context.
That's it. Get him in, 855-282-8255. It's blowing up. I get Bill DeWitt loves Mo, but how much longer can this go? You would think on how much Bill apparently loves the game, he has appeared to lost passion in trying to provide funds/resources to make the best team possible. Too bad there's too many casuals who don't see this and will continue to pack Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village while the Cardinals remain in the infinite hellhole of mediocrity. Well, you want... Even if they are bad.
This ain't mediocrity.
They're terrible. But you still want people to go down there and spend money. If they're having a good time, they're still going to go to the game. Even if they're bad, you can enjoy Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village.
That's
your
true,
family.
but I'm telling you, like at present or last time I checked, number 2 in attendance in baseball, number 1 in TV ratings. You keep pushing out this kind of baseball, eventually it's going to drop off, and that means it's going to cost money. Because this is not sustainable in terms of what you're getting in attendance and TV ratings. I think they know
That's terrible.
That's just business.
Terrible.
That's just business.
Yeah, and I want people to enjoy their lives and have fun at a ball game too.
Yeah.
But also, there's the argument to be made: if you really want to force the hand of the Cardinals and truly show your displeasure, what's the best way to do that?
Pull in athletics.
The reverse boycott?
Reverse
No.
boycott.
The Cardinals do that all the time.
Every
Fans.
other game where they don't show.
When they have 1,300 there.
Yeah. Oh, more than that. It was like 2,800.
Well, no, I
Oh,
know.
no, 1,300.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you said 13,000.
No, they had 28,000 the other day, but they usually have like about 4,500.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The pitching coach has to go first. I refuse to learn his name until he gets rid of his dumb sunglasses. Cray. All right.
Is that significant, though?
The sunglasses?
No. Yes. Hold on. Let me give you. So it's tradition. When a team isn't hitting, you fire the hitting coach. And the hitting coach at the major league level, people tend to think, all right, here's the rules of hitting that we're doing. It's not like that. They help guys when they're slumping. They come up with scouting reports and approaches that guys could try. Same with pitching coaches. But traditionally, when a team is bad, usually it's one of the it's either hitting coach, pitching coach, someone has to hit the bricks.
DePadre, what's on your mind? What's on your mind?
I just don't get it. Like, where's any sort of urgency? Like, I get calling up Luke and Baker because he's ripping up AAA. I get, trying to, tinker a little bit with that kind of stuff. But, where's the urgency at all? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand it. I just, like Charlie said, where's the track record for Marmol besides last year? Where's the track record where it's like he has, Tony La Russa cachet where it's like, oh, yeah, he can just keep on managing the team. Like, any other organization, I feel like right now in baseball, would have fired this guy by now. And it's not all his fault, but you got to change the vibe up. Mike Yeo, when the Blues fired him, it wasn't all Mike Yeo's fault either. The players were underperforming. They brought in, Berube, and things changed. Not saying they're going to go, win, the World Series, but I just don't get where the urgency is. It seems so, laissez-faire. Everyone's just chilling and sitting back and, getting everyone to come through the gates. But, I mean, does there seem like there's any kind of, tension that you notice, Kat, down there? Not the players. I'm just talking about management. When you talked to Gersh yesterday, does there seem like there's any kind of, I don't know.
I'll be honest. People kill Gersh.
Weird.
People kill Gersh. Oh, who is that guy?
What does he do?
Colts. I don't know if you could pull that bite off Bally's that he had yesterday, but Gersh is a decent guy who has a lot of responsibility and who's also kind of got a basic approach to things, and he is we have the same frustration as fans do. We put this together. These things should happen according to our information, and they're not. And it's not just one thing, it's another thing, and they never seem to be in sync. I mean, he has the same frustration as everyone else, but he's not going to fire him. So I don't know if you could pull that off. But I thought it was kind of a good – because he's frustrated too.
Yeah. No, and when I say Gersh, I'm not trying to bash him. I'm just curious because it just seems like they haven't pulled out all the stops yet, that would be the final stop in my opinion before. Kind of just call it a season. Not to say that I don't think the season's already kind of over. I just you've been saying, Kat, I kind of agree with you. The division's just so freaking bad. When you got the Brewers getting swept by the Oakland Athletics, who I guess now are the Yankees of the back in the day or something because they keep winning. But I don't know. I just feel like they should pull out all the stops before they, just kind of pack it in, especially when you have two, going into the season, NL MVP candidates. It's just, I don't know. The whole thing's just strange. I know the pitching sucks, and I know all that, but it's, I don't know.
I get it. And the thing that makes it more frustrating, in my opinion, is you have two cornerstones that are now on the clock. You're not going to have forever, and they're getting older. And you have a division that is awful. So you don't even have to play great to climb through that window of opportunity. And it's not going to happen the way it's going now. It's very frustrating.
It is.
You talk about, though, that Gersh in the front office. I'm sure they're very, very disappointed. And their numbers and their model says it should be different. But maybe they need to change the model. I don't know anyone in baseball, nationally, locally, when the Cardinals said this offseason we have 6 starters, whatever it was. And then Mozeliak did say, hey, maybe we'll look back a year from now or 6 months from now and we will regret this and we'll say we made a mistake. I don't know one person. I did not read. I did not see on TV. I did not hear on radio. I did not hear one person say the Cardinals had enough pitching besides the Cardinals. That's a true story. Did anyone read when Mozeliak said we have 6 starters?
Cole was bragging about it a couple months ago.
But I don't know anyone in baseball, whether it's old school, whether it's stat people. I don't know anyone that thought the Cardinals had enough pitching.
I agree, but the problems run a lot deeper than that.
But that's how the whole started. The whole started with the starting pitching.
It started, and then it stabilized. Now they're not hitting. There's so many things gone wrong with that. I agree. I said in the beginning, you think you have 6 starters, but you really are going to need 8. I said that, so I'm with you 100%. But also, don't forget the fact that pretty much every national expert said they were going to win the Central. That's not the greatest praise in the world because it's a Central, but everyone thought they'd be better than this. And it's starting pitching, it's hitting, and now it's bullpen. Everything that has gone
Fielding
wrong
sometimes
came, it's one thing, then another, then another.
One group said they were going to be bad, and they say they're going to be bad every single year. Pacoda. And Pacoda's wrong every single year except maybe this year.
Except Pacoda was wrong because they're worse than Pacoda said.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Pacoda.
What'd they have him at?
I don't
Pacoda had
remember.
him at over 500.
Was it?
I think so.
I feel like they always put him at about 78.
It was always right. I thought they had 80. So it was always.
What's Pacoda there?
Did they have him at 500,
Sethy.
Seth? Hold on. Poor Seth. We always put him on the spot.
I know. It's
I gotta
He's
type
pretty
and
good
then
at
let it load.
He's been good at it.
No ads. Let's see what he said.
Stupid heads.
I think
Well,
he
it's not
had
he.
74 and 87. I don't think he had it over whoever.
It was she.
It.
There you go.
It's a ranking system.
They.
Did they really? They had him.
them.
They had him sub 500.
I got
If this is the right one, yeah.
Kat, is it true the team is upset that management removed the golden tee from the locker room? Ball and Bandit.
No, it's still there, I think. No, they put
that a rumor?
They put smoky glass so you can't really look in and see if they still have a golden
They
tee.
took out the golden tee. Oh, God.
I don't know if they did.
Jim is like the White House press secretary of the Cardinals. Defend, no matter what. Gersh has a lot of responsibilities, question mark. Like what? Making sure Mo has his bow tie and his coffee? 314.
Good one. You win. What did I say? That's what did I say?
I don't think it's that you said anything that was too cheery. I think they want you to be more critical of them.
I am critical. It's awful. But I'm not going to name call, and I'm not going to say bow tie and cheap chokers. It's awful. There's plenty of blame to go around, honestly. Like I said, I get it. If they want to whack Ollie, it's been done before. I don't think he's to blame, and I don't know what the fix is, and I think that's the problem. I don't think the front office, because there's so many problems, and the roster, and this will fall on the front office, probably isn't as balanced as it should be in terms of how you go about fine-tuning it to try to make a run.
Hold on. I see Pacoda. Am I wrong here? I see Pacoda as 87.5 wins.
That's what I thought. I thought it was. I think we were all like
Currently?
90 or above.
No.
Oh,
Pacoda
thank
is
God.
baseball prospectus. It's their deal. I see 87.5 wins.
All right. Well, they're wrong. Pizza Wall chimes in. Pop quiz.
Go for it.
What's the difference between Ollie Marmol, Cardinals management, the Cat, and Kimmy Gardner? Answer, nothing. They don't hold anyone accountable. Where's the leadership? Where's the fire? I don't know. Maybe reigning MVP. I don't know. Maybe the runner-ups to the MVP. Pizza Wall. Gersh has a stupid smirk on his face while his team's this terrible. I don't think that's he's that
Play his
frustrated.
bite.
Play his bite. Play his
All
bite.
right, here
They're
we
on.
go.
They're on Gersh.
We would all love to find a button to push. If we thought there was one, we would have pushed it a long time ago. Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. I don't know how to express any more frustration than our fans feel and everyone feels. I mean, this is an organization that we don't go through this. This is not who we are. It's not how we play. It's not how we our win-loss record is not what we expected. It's not what it's been in the past decades.
It's not good.
It's not good. I mean,
So what are you going to do? All right, well, the problem is Gorman's not hitting right now. The problem is Helsley's hurt, so Gio has to close the game, and he's going to go middle on you. There's a lot of problems.
problems. I'm not a bash the rights holder kind of guy, but Kat, you are making no sense today. You keep making every case that this is on the manager, mainly a good enough roster that's unperforming, but also keep saying it's not the manager. This roster ain't great, but being this bad is completely Ollie's fault. Fat Tony, and he ranked you like number one the other day. Just so you know.
Completely, that's not fair.
But disagree in that, yeah, there's talent is what the roster is, and then how is that roster performing? I mean, I put a lot of stock in what Arenado says. There's a lot of guys that aren't performing like they should. And you can put that on the manager and you can hold him accountable, or you can put Mo as the guy who's ultimately accountable, or Bill DeWitt Jr., who's the top guy. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and to whack Ollie, maybe that would be a difference maker. I'm not so sure it would be.
Do people think that Ollie Marmol is not managing the way that Mo or whoever above him would want him to manage? Like, do they think that he's going off script? I don't understand all of this. It's entirely Ollie's fault. Of course, there is some blame to be had there, but he was put in a position because John Mozeliak felt that he, whatever his baseball philosophies were, they aligned with what Mozeliak wanted. I assume that also part of it was that he's an organizational guy. I think this is organizational. So, yeah, Ollie Marmol's a part of that, but to say it's 100% his fault. And
well, that's a stretch.
Nobody said that, though.
The texter just said that.
Fat Tony, who did rank Jimmy number one.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Okay, I meant us sitting here.
Yeah.
And that's where what you just said, Cole, is why I think, and I don't want anyone to lose their job, but that's why I don't think moving on from Ollie is that big of a deal. This is not the 70s. This is not Billy Martin. This is not Sparky Anderson and Joe Torre. This is managers who are part of a brain trust with the front office. And you know what? I think it's a fair point to say the last three managers didn't have big league experience. Is it not fair to wonder maybe you should have a guy with big league experience? And my point is, if we're all agreeing that this is a timeshare, a decision tree, as they like to say with the Cardinals, between Mo and DeWitt and Gersh and Ollie and the field staff, then what does it really matter? Is Joe McEwing or Stubby going to be that much different than Ollie? Aren't they kind of all the same? But these are all these guys were organizational. I know Matheny played, but Schulte, Ollie, now Stubby, these are organizational grinder types. What's the big difference? What's the big change in terms of, we're going to lose Ollie? At some point, you just have to make a change. So I don't think falling off from Ollie to Joe McEwing or Stubby Clapp is some huge loss. And I do think you have to try something different. Like, besides Schilt, we know, with treating staff and whatever it was, the man won. He was winning. He did turn things around.
Yep.
Is Schulte that much different than Ollie? Is Ollie that much different than Joe McEwing? Is Joe McEwing that much different than Stubby Clapp? If it's an organizational thing, Pop Warner,
yeah, why do you hate him?
My point is, I don't think changing manager, all of a sudden you lose this unbelievable talent in Ollie Marmol. And guess what? Ollie will get another chance if he loses his job a couple years from now. He's young. I mean, Stubby hasn't had a shot to be a manager. Joe McEwing has grinded through bench coach jobs for 10 years. Why not give him a shot?
Now, let me just say this. Charlie just laid out something. Mm-hmm. I thought it was well said. I thought the point is well taken. So the point, I think, what we're getting to, and Charlie helped us sift through that there. Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome.
Is that whether or not you think Ollie is winning or losing games based on his managerial philosophy, whether or not you think that managerial philosophy is handed down, and whether the truth is sometimes you have to make a move, and maybe the players are like, we just cost our manager his job. You're looking for a change to change the lay of the land, the way it is right now, because right now it's quicksand. I get all that.
I
think that was your point.
And by the way, I think Mo Zaylock and the front office are more to blame than Ollie. I want that to be known. Yes. They're not going to fire themselves. And DeWitt just gave Mo Zaylock essentially his last 3-year contract to probably start the shift to whoever's next, whether it's Gersh or Flores. So I just don't think Mo Zaylock all of a sudden in his last, he's approaching 30 years with the organization. You think DeWitt's going to do him like that? It's just not going to happen.
It'd be funny if they did fire themselves.
Okay, I think Mo Zaylock is more to blame than Ollie. I want that to be known. But it's easier to fire a manager, and you can't fire the players. Or, you know what? Do something. Trade a couple players.
Yeah,
Make a trade. Make a trade.
I think some people
Seriously, make a trade.
I think some fans have it in their mind that if you get rid of Ollie Marmol, that somehow Joe Madden's coming to town. And
it's Joe McEwing or Stubby.
I know.
Probably Joe McEwing.
I don't suspect that Mo Zaylock would make an out-of-house hire, which is why I don't think if you get rid of Ollie Marmol, that a whole lot's going to change. I think it's going to be organizational guys who already have Mo's baseball philosophy kind of embedded into them already. So I think that not a whole lot's going to change if you get rid of Ollie Marmol, which is why I'm not very big on the fire Ollie train. Because I don't think that would do a whole lot except for maybe shake it up for a couple of weeks.
I'd say shake it up.
What changed with the Phillies last year?
The manager.
They did move on from manager.
Yeah.
And they started winning, and they went to the World Series. That can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that can happen.
I wasn't laughing at your philosophy. I was laughing at the way you said it. Please clip that off. Make a trade.
Make a trade.
I like the way you said it.
Well, at this point, again, you're saying you're waiting for the trade market. Well, guess what? And I watched the interview with Mo Zaylock, and I agreed with everything he said. On Memorial Day, you, in theory, thought you were the good team that's about to make a trade with the bad team. Guess what? I hate to say it. You are now the bad team that should trade your pieces to the contenders. Am I wrong?
No.
Right, but except you're the bad team that knows you still have a little time and you want the market to form so that you have leverage in terms of bidding and offers coming in and which can be the best offer. If you have one offer, which might be the case now, and I understand what you're saying. You're saying trade so you shake it up. Again, it's kind of like goes to other points. So I'm not disagreeing. But I think if you're prudent, you wait a couple of weeks, even though your fan base wants something to happen. If you think you're not good now and you're probably not going to be good at the trade deadline, you can wait a few weeks and then try to get the very best offer for whatever you're trying to move, instead of now where you might have one trade partner.
Well, I don't think that's the case. And I say that because I think deals can't be made right now usually because folks aren't available. And I'm saying the bad teams are waiting to make their folks available to the good teams. If the Cardinals said, hey, we're open for business with a Montgomery, a Flaherty, I do think there's a lot of contenders that go, okay, now there's some players available. I think they would have more than one suitor.
I'm not saying you can't make a trade, but once a lot of teams would be reluctant until the market defines itself. It's true.
They can also get ahead of the market, though.
They can.
Trade the Captain Kiz to make these players cry.
No.
He ain't going nowhere.
Kiz did not have a good game yesterday.
Jimmy, I know.
Some of those swings, man.
I know.
It was not him.
I was
too.
heartbroken.
I saw it too.
Some of those strikeout swings just had me like,
I know.
Oh, no.
What do you do?
I almost, because I love Kisner so much, and I love the Cardinals. When he struck out, I can't remember if the bases were loaded. I have my score sheet. I don't want to look. But I almost ran out in field and said, stop the game! I wanted to hug it. Stop the game! Call it off!
Yeah.
The fact that they lost that game, because if you're watching the first inning, and by the way, we make fun of soft contact. That first inning was a lot of soft contact crap. And then it's 2-zip, bases loaded. And you think the game is already over. You're thinking it's going to be a 5-spot. Jordan Montgomery gets out of that jam. And then Tommy Edman hits the granny.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go ahead more. And you're like, okay, finally.
There we go.
Finally. They battle back. They overcome adversity.
Yep.
Jordan Montgomery pitched you out of that jam. That was a soft contact inning, to be fair. I know we joke about that. That was a dinker type of inning.
Dinker.
Then they got out of it. Tommy Edman battles. You have bases loaded. That could have went either way. DeSclafani could have got out of that. But no, Tommy Edman hits a grand slam, and you're thinking, finally, until you saw Mike Yastrzemski up there, and you saw the base runner on, and you just said, this feels like deja vu all over again.
And when the Cardinals do hit a grand slam, they win. They win games, except for last night. I think they've won past like 20-something. If you hit a grand slam, you usually win. But not this year.
I want to share this. So when I decide who I want to get for the post-game interview, you don't want to jinx it. You don't want to say it too early. But I always send a quick text to the PR guys who are down on the field just so they know Claves might want the guy, whatever. I always try. So at 2:22, I texted, Tommy, please, because I thought it was in the bag.
Did it autocorrect to Gio? That was rough, man. That pitch
was weird.
was so down the middle.
With 2 strikes.
Give Yaz credit, but I think most major leaguers, and I just looked it up, Yaz is, as you said, Kat, his OPS is something like 1,100 versus the Cardinals.
I mean, he
just destroys
kills us.
the Cardinals.
240 hitter.
Was middle.
240 hitter against us. It's like 360 with a crazy OPS. It's really bad. And as a team, what have they blown 13 leads or something beyond that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good. And I'll say this: like they need Helsley. So now Helsley's out, forearm. All the signs are good. All the tests are good, which usually means 60-day IL.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they need that guy because now you're going to run Gio out there because who can you? But I will say this: I did see Ali. Usually I don't talk behind the scenes. Had a talk with Hicks, and I'm sure he was saying, "Look, you're going to get leverage situations, and you got to throw strikes." I'm sure it was a conversation like that. Hicks was in a high leverage situation and pitched really well. I know he's had a lot of missteps. His stuff is nasty. He's still a young guy. Maybe this is his time where he can find it again. I don't know.
And I want to say one more time, that I think the front office is more to blame than Ollie. But a manager is easier to move on from. And we're talking about waiting on the market or being prudent. I think you could make a strong argument that for a lot of years, the Cardinals being smart and well thought out and long-term and not making rash decisions, which you never want to do, but that's one of the reasons that they won for so many years. I think you can now look to the last 5 and say they might be paralyzed by prudence and being too conservative in terms of doing anything.
Yeah.
Whether it's waiting right now, okay, we keep saying it's early. It's not early. Okay, 1 more month, trade deadline. Well, the season, first of all, the season might be over anyway. I don't know. Hell, they could go, you never know. I'm never going to count anybody out because you can point back to the show. But to me, the season feels like it's over. We're still saying, oh, let's wait. You never know. The Central's bad. In the same way this offseason, oh, we have no pitching. We're not going to add anybody. We're not going to trade anybody. We're going to keep waiting. We're going to be super conservative. We're going to manage our assets like a hedge fund. We're not going to be aggressive. We're not going to do anything aggressive. We were bit by that with the Marcelo Zuna deal, a little bit with the Randy Rosarena. We'll see what happens with Libator. That's fair, but I'm saying they don't do anything. They don't do anything.
How are the top 10 payroll teams doing? Like the Mets,
not good.
Not good. San Diego, struggling. Who else?
Dodgers, they're doing well.
But what's struggling compared to the Cardinals are in last place?
I'm just asking.
No, that's a fair point. Let's bring it up. Here we go. I got it right here.
Okay.
All right, so Mets number 1 payroll, Yankees 2, Padres 3, Phillies 4, Dodgers, Angels, Blue Jays.
Phillies not good. Mets
Braves,
not good.
Angels
Rangers.
a little better.
But all those teams, if you're around 500,
you're better than
you
the
still have a
Cardinals.
pretty dang good shot to add at the deadline and finish the season 10 or 15 games
Have a shot. Have
above.
a chance.
But I when I'm saying wait for the trade deadline, I'm talking about I'm not so sure this season is salvageable. So you're trying to get the best deal, not just to unload, because that's not what they're. It's not going to be a yard sale. They're trying to trade assets that they don't have control of and try to build for next year. And I'm just saying, you wait a few weeks, and if you could get a better deal. Look, for all I know, they're talking to another team right now and the deal's in the works. I'm just saying, generally speaking, once the market defines itself, you have more options. And if that's the case, how does it hurt for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks of bad baseball that we're already seeing?
What does that mean when the market defines itself?
It means that more teams, the first domino falls like it does before the deadline. One domino falls, then other dominoes fall, and then what it does is it sets the value of certain types of players, and then other teams work off that. You can think it's nonsense, but it's true. That's generally how it works.
And all I'm saying is it generally works that way because the players aren't available. There's actually more value to trade Jack Flaherty or Jordan Montgomery now because you're getting an extra 5 to 6 starts out of them than if you traded them 6 weeks from now.
And that could happen. I'm just saying, generally speaking, teams would prefer to have a bunch of offers on the table and try to leverage one against another.
Can't you do that now, though, as long as you're the one initiating the call?
That's my whole point.
I know,
No, because teams don't like to know of what the cost is going to be for that type of player. You can say it doesn't make sense, but that's generally the way it works.
But my point is,
it could happen.
They know which teams need pitching. Right now, you could make calls and just start the dialogue of, hey, Flaherty and Montgomery are potentially available. Let's talk. You could do that to the 7 teams that all are going to be looking for pitching, just like the Cardinals did the last two years at the trade deadline.
And I'm sure a lot of those calls are already being made. I guarantee they are. I guarantee that they already have scenarios and things like that. Who's going to pull the trigger on it? And here's the other thing, too. I do think a lot of this talk isn't, well, this will make them better for this year. I think a lot of it is, I'm sick of the way this team is playing, and something has to be done, which I totally get. I totally get that. I'm just saying, generally speaking, those kind of moves are made once the market is set.
Missing the playoffs is the best option. This team is not making a playoff run, and now there is no excuse of being right there or close. Cray. Charlie is correct. Just imagine the haul we could have gotten by trading the overhyped Flaherty and Alex Reyes, Ball and Bandit. Let's see. Give Fredbird a couple at-bats. He's already half in uniform. Then when he gets to each base, he could eat the opposing players' heads, obstructing their view. Jobu. Let's see.
When were you going to trade Reyes after his third, fourth, or
after
fifth
he punched
injury?
the wall?
I mean, there was a point where the logical thing was trying to ride it out and see if he could live up to his ability and come back from those injuries.
Talk about a hype.
It was tough.
He was hyped up.
Well, because he was good.
Yeah.
And he has great stuff. I mean, he's done for the season again. He's done for the season again with the Dodgers, I think.
Yeah.
But this kid had really difference-making talent. He just was hurt all.
I remember when he first walked out there. The whole place is going crazy. He's throwing heat. I was working at ESPN at the time. I remember that. I remember that day.
And my thing is, I agree with you guys on Reyes. But for the first 10 years or so of John Mozeliak's tenure, he literally didn't make a mistake. Honestly, he really didn't. Name me the mistake. If we can joke about Ty Wigginton, but then and I'm saying 10 years, whatever the number is.
It's like a chump change mistake.
That's my whole point. The joke is, if your worst deal is Ty Wigginton, you're doing a hell of a job. But then since then, you do have the Mike Leakes, the Dexter Fowlers, the Matt Carpenter extension, the Marcelo Zuna trade, the Randy Rosarena trade, and give him credit also for, obviously, Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. But I think the Cardinals were so good in 11-15 because they truly were smarter than every other organization. They were, and we should give them credit for that. They don't seem to have that advantage at all anymore. And then when I hear people saying, oh, there was nobody to get, and this and that guy's hurt, and that guy's underperforming, well, that's not true with everybody. Shouldn't you be able to – I know you can't always forecast injury, but Michael Wacha's doing great. Nathan Eovaldi's doing great. And by the way, you signed Steven Matz 1 year ago. You signed Steven Matz 1 season ago that prevented you from maybe making a move for a similar type pitcher, like a Michael Wacha, like a Nathan Eovaldi. There are guys that you can sign in free agency that actually help you win. You actually tried that, remember. It didn't work. You tried that yourself with Steven Matz, and you bet wrong.
So to me, the biggest indictment of the Cardinal front office, because you could look at this guy or that guy. You can go with any general manager or president of baseball ops that has been in place and list the successes and the failures.
And I just
There's
did.
going to be both. I know, but to me, I'm getting to something. But to me, the biggest indictment of this front office, instead of picking at that and picking at that, is you engineered getting one of the best third basemen in baseball, one of the best first basemen, and haven't been able to capitalize on it. And the way it looks now, it's going to be a struggle to try to capitalize on. So to me, if there's a criticism, that's my number one. You engineered these two deals where you have elite players, top players in the league at those spots, and haven't been able to build it out around them so that the Cardinals are in position to actually make the most of it.
And you give up little to nothing to get them, too.
Great deals.
Absolutely.
Great deals. And then, great. I'm giving you all the credit. Now, where are they now? Where were they last year? To me, that's the biggest indictment of all the critics. Because it's easy to, and I'm not saying that's what you were doing. You were listing all of them fairly. But it's easy to go back and say, what about this guy? What about that guy? To me, big picture, to me, that's where the most criticism should fall.
Blame order. DeWitt, number 1. Mo, number 2. 3, the players. 4, Marmelo. 5, Bailey's. It's simple. This is about roster construction and the players less on Marmel, but someone has to be in this sacrificial lamb. DeWitt controls how much Mo spends, so he needs a ton of the blame. Wombat. Jim,
Agreed.
Would you get a grip? You're not making money right now for Bally's. Would you stop being so delusional saying the Central's in reach? Every effing organization makes moves as a group. What in the world does that mean? Don't be a wuss, Big Billy Bros.
What does that mean? I don't really understand.
Are you being a wuss again?
For saying that the Central is awful?
Don't be rude. It is awful.
And that makes it more painful that it's right there? You don't even have to be good to win the Central, and we can't even get close to good? That makes... I'm sorry, you're delusional, sir.
But that is
Billy
what's
Brolson.
crazy about this. I keep watching the Cardinals, and then I look at the standings, and I mentally feel like I should see 15 games out. And I don't. I see 9 or 9.5, which is why, despite everything I've said, and this team can't win a damn game, all it takes is a 5-1 week, and then they're 5 games out.
Right.
And again, there's nothing that shows you right now the Cardinals will do that. But baseball is crazy. So it's like this team feels so much worse than 9 games out, which a good 2-week span, and all of a sudden trade deadline, oh, man, now we're only 5 games out.
Think about it. And it was earlier in the season, but the first time they were at 14 under, right? They went 11. They went 11 and 4. They won 11 of 15, and all of a sudden, they weren't great, but everything was okay because they were right there in the Central. I mean, that wasn't even a major run. When they won 17 games in a row, right? That totally flipped the script. They just went 11 and 4, and all of a sudden they're right back in the hunt in the Central after an awful, awful start. My point is that makes it more frustrating because it's like the old man with the little fishing rod.
Come get it.
The Central is that you could grab that. You could grab that line. The guy's 94 years old.
Yeah.
He's not that
Get
quick.
the damn thing.
Grab it.
God.
That's what the Central is. The old guy you can grab it.
Get it.
But maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe we're focused too much on winning the worst division in baseball, which doesn't really mean much come postseason.
Yeah.
So even if they win it, does anybody have any real confidence? But we all know, okay, 2006, 2011, we'll hang on that forever. Oh, you just get in.
He's gonna get in.
That doesn't usually happen. It's great that it did. And some of those teams were actually really good and injured and got right at the perfect time. But I think part of the Cardinals' problem is shooting just to win the Central. That's a very low bar, and winning the Central doesn't usually mean much come playoff time when you're essentially first-round exits and swept every time.
And this is why the fans are actively rooting against this team, because they feel like the only way to break through and to stop hitting that same ceiling of the first round of the playoffs is to have a season that is so bad that the organization is forced to make a massive move and just completely lose tolerance of just, we're a playoff team. That's a pretty good season because the fans won a World Series. All right, they had 2 within a six-year period in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And they're kind of sitting around like, when are we going to get back to that? And so just hitting the same ceiling over and over is getting exhausting for this fan base. And so they are actively rooting for this team to lose so that way the organization has to do something drastic to try to get over that hump.
And I think that's a fair point. What you said about the fans wanting a World Series, of course fans always want a World Series, but I think they'd even take a playoff series win. They just want to see a little progress.
Yes.
I think, look, everybody can go online and get crazy. We all do that. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes people are nuts. But most reasonable fans know you can't win a World Series or even get to a World Series. If you get to one every 7 years, that's doing well.
Yeah.
I think they just want a playoff series win. Just show us a little progress that you're knocking on the door to maybe get to a World Series in the next 3 years.
I think, first off, Cole made a decent point, but because he's a Pirates fan, I don't think he should be included in the discussion.
No.
Okay?
He wants the Cardinals
because you
to
root
lose.
for a team that has no clue. So why don't you sit a couple of plays out?
Okay.
Have a seat back there, Cole.
I don't know how to do that.
This is where I disagree, and this is where I will get killed. I just think if you build the team as best you can't forecast, well, we're building this to just get in but not win. We're not building it to win a playoff series. Just once you get in the playoffs, no one knows what's going to happen. And yes, there are teams that seem to have better pitching staffs, and that's an important part. I get that. But you can't handicap from before the start of the season how far your team is going to go in the playoffs.
I think not in one particular year, but I think if year over year you put yourself in a better position with a better team, then yeah, every 5 years you're going to have better outcomes. Now, in one random year, anything can happen. But I think if you shoot to be an elite team and you try to be a team that's pushing 95-plus wins, Bill DeWitt always says, they always say 90 wins and to win the Central. Well, maybe that's not good enough.
Yeah, man. I got to give props to Cole for taking the Hot Take Central Twitter account and running with it. That account is way more active now and entertaining. Way to go, Cole. Seriously. Even the funny Andrew Bailey one was funny. Good job. You're doing good, man. You're doing good with that. Let's see here. We just want to see a front office that does not appear to be complacent on trying to win a World Series. That's why change not happening soon would be frustrating. Good morning to everyone here, not named Cole. That's from Barry, who got catfished. I don't know why he doesn't like you now. You should not like that girl that catfished
He's
him.
just messing with me.
You know. Let's see. Yeah, good morning, boys. Actually, the American League Central is way worse than the NL Central. Whiskey fan, yeah. It's bad.
They're worse than the Tigers.
Oh, God, here we go. The interview with Frank from 2019 where he said baseball isn't a profitable enterprise shouldn't have signaled to every Cardinal fan on how arrogant and out of touch DeWitt is.
That's every owner, though.
Showed his ass in the interview, and I couldn't believe someone supposedly intelligent as he was could say something so transparently false.
Every owner in baseball, when they're in front of a microphone, they pull that stunt. That's not just DeWitt.
He did walk that back. And I think you need context with that as well, which is everybody knows the asset you buy is worth just an unbelievable amount and appreciates ridiculously. And he's talking about year-to-year cash flow and all that,
yeah.
which I still – you can kind of year-to-year – we saw this with the Braves. You can kind of make your books look any way you want to. If you want to take a big loss one year to offset a big gain the next year. I mean, did you see with the Braves? That's the one team we can kind of see what they're spending.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was not a good PR move. And Bill DeWitt Jr. would admit that.
Wait, can you explain that with the Braves? More in depth about how they make it look like they're not making money even though they are?
Well, no, it's like for tax purposes. You can have a big loss one particular year. You can have a big gain the next year, and those can offset. And you can have carry forward losses. I can look this up for. There's basically the Braves are the one team that because of the way they're owned, we can see into their books a little bit and their TV deals and basically kind of what they make.
And the truth is, regardless if there's a loss that you write off for taxes and end up getting well in the end, the value of your team continues to go up and up and up. And any investor would know that's the main thing. The team is the investment, and it increases in value every day.
For example, let's say you have a huge project. You can say, all right, I want to take all of those expenses and losses, and you can do it on December 31st, or you can do it on January 1st. It's one day later. It's a different tax year. Or you could say we'll split it up between the 2 years. There's different ways to kind of say what you make and what you don't year to year is all I'm saying.
Good morning, boys. Was listening to yesterday's podcast. Did Seth really say the first 8 presidents were born in Great Britain? Mad Marine.
I didn't say that.
No, you said that they weren't born here.
Isn't that true?
He just posted another one that says it's not.
What was the trivia question?
The first American-born president.
So it's
I Googled it a couple times.
Is that
and it said
because
Martin Van Buren?
Because America wasn't America
Because
yet.
we weren't a country yet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he was
I
saying.
think Cole said, was everyone ahead of him born in Britain? And I think I just said yes.
Who won?
Every president was born in the country.
Charlie said that.
Here it is. Every president was born in the country that is now known as the United States. However, the first 8 presidents were born in America when it was still consisted of 3 British colonies. They were George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, and Willie Harrison. Interesting. See, you know what? This show.
If I was wrong, I was wrong. Accountability.
No, he just said that you're right.
You're right. It was the British colonies.
Take that, Mad Marine.
But they're, it's here. But anyway, it's
Well,
all good.
I think that's kind of a gray area.
Seth doesn't love the troops. Did you just hear that?
He was?
He just said, take that, Mad Marine, huh?
Oh.
Seth's going after the troops.
Oh. Maybe you could share Bailey when he gets here, too. He was Army officer.
I'll teach you anything. Just don't eat me.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Whatever. Guys, I get that this is a historically bad team and it deserves our attention and analysis. But this conversation is really giving me a headache now. Can we start talking about how you guys rank each other or some natural disasters or ghosts or something like that, please?
That's fair.
And there's actually Stan Kroenke buying up land in San Diego. Did you hear about him putting a hockey team there and a basketball team in San Diego? Interesting. Somebody threw that out, too. And I heard somebody talking about that, or I read it somewhere. Interesting. Hockey team in San Diego would be pretty dang cool. Basketball team there.
They don't even have a football team in San Diego. Got yanked out of there.
Well, you got to get the best owner in the business, Jimmy. You heard Tuna talk about that. He's the best owner in the business.
He might be right, though.
Once he gets involved, you know a championship's coming. You know it's going to be healthy.
I hate to say it, he might be right.
All right. Okay, text line's absolutely blowing up.
We can still hate him, by the way. We can
get
still
to-
hate Stan Kroenke, even though he's winning all the
He's
championships.
winning all the championships. Yeah, still
You can do
despise
both.
him, you know?
He took a lot of jack out of this city, Charlie.
He did.
Oh, look, I think...
Don't worry, the Battlehawks are...
Yeah, we got the Battlehawks. It's all good. I mean,
all good.
that business model, I think
It's
we've
working.
seen it's going to be sustainable.
It's working.
Don't
That's a
chirp the
simple
bat.
pimp's clothes.
Don't go strick on me. Don't go full strick.
I'm rooting for the Battlehawks. You know what I want to happen? I want the NFL to buy. Here's what needs to happen. The NFL needs to basically combine whatever XFL markets work and whatever USFL, if any of them work. They need to combine them into a feeder league that's kind of like the G League, and it needs to be the developmental league for the NFL.
Have no fear.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Nope. I think a better solution would be in a bold move. The NFL says, you know what, Battlehawks, we're just bringing you into the league.